Hi, everybody. How are you all today?
Good.
Good, thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Hi. Good.
Fantastic. Well, welcome, to all participants. I'm sure that everybody will be taking their time to come today on a Saturday night here in Malaysia. For me and far time difference, well and good. I hope you all are staying safe wherever you are. And those who are on Facebook, we're streaming this live to you as well. Well, just to let you know, this is our third webinar series on XR. So we had two earlier sessions, the last few months, and namely XR technology and filmmaking, where we actually discovered the amount of technology that's required in XR production. Things like an LED screen, tracking systems, appropriate camera systems that requires technology attachment to be used, lenses control, zoom control, and even a rendering systems, that's needed for this kind of purpose. The technology has evolved so much during this time. The fact that in movies like Mandalorian, how they have actually used this technology during times when everybody has to be inside and shoot as much production as possible, and then they also realize the fact the cost has come down tremendously in terms of virtual production. So this was very important for this, and now you see that a lot of other organizations, other companies, rental house are also using technologies like this. The other seminar that we had was on technology in film education. This is also to highlight that film schools can't teach the way they used to teach film education, because it is different now. We realize for a fact the people who are in post, who are doing the post work, are actually doing it live now in virtual production. So the thinking is different. The concept of teaching is going to be different. The equipment is different. So so a lot of teachers need to be upgraded, upskilled in terms of how they actually teach and understand this whole era of XR technology. Now, during this time, the impact during the pandemic was so great that a lot of people could not go out. So this is going to be a new trend. It's not something that it's by the way and then go back to the normal way. And this is the way forward, because technology has changed along the way. And if you are going to sit back and do things the same old way, you're going to realize the fact that your cost, the way you do things is going to impact other areas as well. So something to think about, reconsider in how you do things. A lot of this XR as well has a core influence from Unreal Engine. With Unreal Engine coming into play, a lot of the rendering, real-time rendering systems, whether it's for LED, whether it's for use of green screens, to give that extended reality feature requires a lot of processing power, understanding, and the cards that you use for this kind of purpose. So there you have it. Just to sum up what the definition of LED volumes and how it's also been misused, misrepresented out there. The definition of LED XR is actually based on LED volumes and green screen only, right? It doesn't involve just having an Oculus, or it doesn't involve having a headset in a VR platform and calling it extended reality or calling it XR, because that's not the case, contrary to many beliefs. Okay, so only when you have the LED volumes and green screen and adding on from that, that's when the XR definition is truly met. It's perfect timing for us to do something like this and to move into workshops, and also make different type of seminars to make people understand why is it different, from the conventional all the way to what we have right now. So just to expand a little bit further, why we're doing this is actually a 4-part series webinar that leads on to the summit that's going to happen on November, where we will have a series of workshops, introductions from various different organizations who coming to see what's in store, the making of a certain movie or concept that is done in XR or an AR application in the making of tomorrow's war. These are some of the highlights that we are actually bringing forth to make participants, users, to understand how this kind of application can be done in their local environment as well. So in today's session, the strategy today is basically to understand the workflow of XR in broadcast, in virtual broadcast, and why is it different from in back in the days when what we had used with the other systems as well. And of course, we're leaving behind all the old technologies and moving on with a new technology, which is basically the core system, which is Unreal Engine itself. So let me introduce the speakers. We have Faraz QAYYUM, a technical artist from Zero Density based out of Turkey. Faraz is a senior technical artist of Zero Density. For the last 2 years, his job role was contributing to the Zero Density pre-sales team and production demonstration for product demonstrations, proof of concepts and trainings. He's a real-time graphics enthusiast working in the said domain for more than a decade. He also worked with various real-time solutions, significantly virtual sets applications for broadcast, and he's also a computer science graduate, started his career as a 3D generalist, loved to learn and loved to teach. Our next speaker is Ola Olovole, a principal broadcast engineer from Otana Media Group, based in London, UK. Ola Olovole works for Otana Media Group in London as a principal broadcast engineer. Ola has extensive expertise in all aspects of technology support, broadcast production, and post-production, having previously worked for over a decade for IPTV, one of the UK's top 3 broadcasting channels. With focus on development, testing, and maintenance, his talents and abilities enabled him to provide solutions to complex broadcast and post-production workflows. Since joining Otana, Ola has assisted several clients in the UK and worldwide. He's responsible for providing a primary engineering resource for all projects and engineering activities with the company. Ola has been providing unique insights to broadcasters' specific workflows and day-to-day issues with the support of Otana's technical team. Our next speaker is Ivan Kajik. He's product specialist from Stipe, Norway. Ivan is an all-rounder at Stipe. He has been working there for 7 years, combining tech support work, product optimization, and marketing, with an occasional presentation such as this one. In 2015, he was part of an Emmy-winning project with Fox Sports. He believes he can explain anything to anybody. Finally, our speaker from Astro Awani is Mr. Abdul Hasib bin Jahadi. He's the head design and also based out in Malaysia. Hasib has a total of 20 years of working experience in a variety of art and design school, a bachelor's in film and animation from the Multimedia University in Malaysia. He also joined Astro Awani in 2009, responsible to lead a very talented, efficient, competitive design team, which is fairly versatile in all aspects of design and static, from static to motion, 2D to 3D, visual effect to real-time graphics as well. Astro Awani has taught him to be versatile and agile, and he's set to learn more and grow and keeps us succeeding. And there you have it, everybody. And finally, I'm Luis Clovis. I'm the moderator for the session today, and I've been in the industry for the last 35 years, providing broadcast solutions, sales, and marketing, and also technical support for various clients over the years. And XR has been a fascinating topic, fascinating discovery, and I'm all heart and soul in this solution, and we and that's why we're doing this to bring this knowledge and education out to as many people as possible out there. Thank you. So just to get the ball rolling, I would like to ask the panel, every one of you, one simple question, throughout everybody, and then of course I'd like for us to lead the question is, what is your opinion of the current hype in XR? If you could share with few words with that.
Yeah, thank you, Luis. I have few comments on it because when I started my career 15 years ago, virtual production is far from the hot topic, right? It's because of the real hyperrealism, or the setup was the very complicated and all that stuff. And but nowadays, really, it becomes a solution. It becomes a solution, and it helps a broadcaster, because the broadcasting business is all about engaging the audience, engaging the viewer. And when the news is break somewhere, it is same for everyone. So if you have a competition, watch what makes the difference. The difference is the compelling graphics. The difference is when you have the virtual audience in an empty arena, right? The difference is when you teleport the sports personalities into your studios and start interviewing in live, right? The difference is when you have when you're telling the people that how hurricane or how the raining system works, like the weather channel, right? So these are the differences which stop someone like me to watch and stay, and it generates that ERP. So with the business perspective, XR is everything nowadays. So if someone is applied on it like strategically, so he is making most of it, right? So this is something that I want to say.
Fantastic. Thank you for us. Ola, what about you? What's your opinion about the HyperXR?
Thank you for having me, Lewis.
Yes.
And very similar to what Faraz said, I think what we've seen globally and the UK is that broadcasters are fighting, and always have been, for ratings and for eyes on the screen. Broadcast production companies are turning to XR for their shows to really stand out for the same reasons that Faraz mentioned. So for making the environment much more immersive for the audience. Here in the UK and globally, we're seeing more XR studios being built to produce XR content. I mean, largely, we could say that this was due to the pandemic and broadcast content, as well as the workforce having to comply with certain government restrictions and so on. But it's only grown from there. So, and the reason why is, it's seen to be more cost effective. You can produce engaging TV shows with fewer people on site. That's now possible. So, I mean, you have examples like the 2020, I think, Eurovision Song Contest, where an XR workflow was used to beam contestants into spaces when they were performing from their home. You also have other shows and productions like the US Open, MTV Video Awards, which used a similar XR workflow. So it's changing the way people are producing films, television series, and media-related works, as well as consuming them, from especially live events, sports events, and music events. And I think, Autana being a global organization, is an exciting time for us because we have clients all over the world, in Europe, in America, and in Asia. And we've seen a boom in the domestic consumption of XR in China, Japan, Korea, in India, Malaysia, where we will have clients as well. So the potential, as Faraz has said, has already been realized, and it's only growing, and it's only going to get bigger.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's right on the dot. Ivan, what's your opinion about this?
Yeah, this is a great question. Obviously, we are all witnessing huge growth in virtual production XR. So I would just like comment a little bit generally, like whenever there's new technology that's bursting onto the scene, usually it's either it's achieving something in a better way than before, or it's cutting costs compared to what it was before. In this situation, I think it's both. Like when it comes to new immersive effects, telling the story in a new way, with more interesting effects, obviously it's not been done before. When it comes to movie productions, if you shoot a series, if you shoot like big stuff like Mandalorian or new TV series or some movies that are shot in XR environments, obviously you are cutting the costs tremendously, because you no longer have to move entire sets just for one shot to a totally new location, transfer all the teams, all the equipment. So you are cutting costs. And also, if we combine the pandemic to all of it, this is like another effect. Like this app that we are using now, Zoom, it existed before the pandemic, but when the pandemic came, suddenly everybody started using it more because you had no choice. Similarly, in the pandemic, virtual production is oftentimes the only way you can do something that was possible before. So these three elements simply came together at the same time, and now we see this huge boom of virtual production and XR.
Incredible, incredible. Just viewing all this from the vendor's point of view. Let's take it. What is the view from the broadcaster? I mean, as Hasib, what's your view?
Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. Thank you, Luis, for organizing such an interesting webinar. Okay, so basically, in broadcast, right, the competition is always for eyeball, and on the screen has never been so fierce. Embrace XR and virtual production. I prefer it to corporate visual production rather than XR, because I came from old traditional virtual production way. So this XR helps broadcaster appeal to a younger audience, right? Like the Gen Z. So these viewers, like my kids, they have been brought up on the video games, Marvel movies, and have access personalized content on TikTok, for example. And they expect a lot to see a lot of immersive content on all their screens. So to me, Malaysia should have been producing a lot more content on XR and VR. Well, nevertheless, for news, also for entertainment, concert, sports, of course. But the content creation tool must be made easier for the creator. So that's the main important point.
Right.
And currently, alter ego is the rocking situation now. So you must see it, right? Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that, everybody. Okay, so coming back to Faraz, your partners and customers are making most of your technology by creating compelling visuals with most photorealistic real-time graphics. What is the value proposition of reality here for achieving these results?
Oh, yes. Luis, the thing is that the conventional is still nowadays, the conventional keying workflow is based on, I will be a bit technical, maybe to elaborate the whole situation, right? So the solution, the chroma keying solution available in the market, most of them are working on the baseline color selection, right? So when you select one green screen tone, right, and add the tolerance on top of it, what happened then if you want to extract the clean matte signal out of it? It ruined the whole, the soft details of the talent, right? And you wouldn't be able to get the fine details like contact shadows, hairs, and the cast shadows, right?
Right.
And also most of the traditional gears are not working very well with the transparent objects as well, right? And the biggest issue, the biggest one, is you have to lit your cyclorama evenly, right? Because I also came from traditional virtual set background. 15 years ago, it was like, lots of lights, and it creates another problem of a spill, lots of green spill and all that stuff. So we came up, what is the solution? What is the solution? We came up with an idea of real-time image-based keying, right? And what we are doing is fairly simple to understand. We capture the clean plate of your cyclorama without the talent or any physical object, right? Clean plate, just a green cyclorama, and project it to the 3D mesh. and making most of the tracking that we already have inside the studio, getting from the vendor, right? From any tracking device. We track the cyclorama, and then the SDI signal coming from the camera subtract the clean plate frame by frame, right? So it is the different scheme, if it is a different color scheme, but with the clean plate technology. So at the end of the day, you get the realistic shadows on the ground. You will get the fine hair details, right? You can key the transparent or semi-transparent objects, something like you can say semi-transparent clothes as well. And that makes a huge difference in the industry, because before that, people used to switch themselves towards the AR, start and quit using the green screen and all that stuff. But definitely the reality care makes a huge difference in the market, and our customers and partners making most of it. So this is something in a nutshell. So every pixel, comparing itself frame by frame. So I don't know, maybe there are, I can say that there are something around the millions of green shades can be comparable frame by frame. So it's a very nice, the technique that help our audience to have a very good, excellent keying results. And on top of it, maybe we will talk about the engine capabilities later. We have the reality engine and all that stuff. So the reality gear is a very powerful image-based, GPU-based, image-based gear.
Fantastic. I was just about to ask you that question. You clarified that. Thank you very much. Over to you, Ola. And what strategy do you adopt when looking for a MEM that can, MEM as in media asset management, that can support XR workflows? I think, just to get the audience to understand a little bit why a MEM in a XR workflow. I mean, it's never been talked about before. We always forget the fact that media asset management is a very core, important part of the workflow for broadcasters, for filmmakers, and this has been overlooked for many occasions and many applications out there. And this is why I thought this would be fantastic to bring forth for the broadcasters to realize for the fact that it is not just for broadcast workflows, but for the XR workflow is going to seem very important because of the kind of raw footages, the kind of file size, which Ola, over to you. I shall not talk any further. So the strategy, what are you looking for, MEM, in terms of the XR workflow? Yes, exactly. Over to you.
You're exactly right. So what I found in my time working in the industry is that a lot of MEMs struggle with a wide range of to support a wide range of codecs and formats, especially those beyond which they were set to support. So a simple example, when I in the industry, I've worked for broadcast facilities where they'd hire freelance camera operators, and what they'd sometimes do is they'd record footage in a new codec that Sony had just released or something. And the reason sometimes was just simply the agency that supplied them with the cameras gave them a new camera to use, and because of this struggle, this caused a struggle with supporting new codecs within the facility. So what this did is it caused major consideration when we were looking for a MEM towards how the MEM would support the introduction of different codecs or formats. So what we have with Cubix is a system that's designed to be agnostic, which makes it future-proof. So it works as well as standard web formats, as well as RAW cameras formats, Canon, Sony, Red, etc., as well as image and audio, and it supports project files and non-media files as well. So it's really important that you ensure when you choose a MEM that it's not limited to supporting new and different formats, as well as supporting reference media. When I say reference media, I mean being able to reference other media in whatever codec that it was created. So you also need a MEM that can work with a wide range of storage types, on-prem, studio storage, SNS Avid, Cloud and Deep Archive, Cold Storage, LTO, and then MOS connectivity, which with systems like Octopus and APEN-PS, which are key for XR, especially with a live player and news environment.
Yeah, that's interesting because that's not always mentioned, yeah, in terms of how the integration of newsroom and from a rendering system to the newsroom and from the MAM to the newsroom. That's not usually highlighted, but it's interesting that you mentioned that. Okay, so looking at the fact that Ivan, why is it important for a camera tracking system such as yours, your technology to be in an XR broadcast environment? Can you, I know it's fantastic in the film industry, and many other industries. How dynamic is it in the broadcast industry, and why?
Yeah, okay, so the camera tracking technology. So obviously I work for Stipe. Our specialty is tracking, camera tracking and object tracking. So, but this tracking component is probably the least noticeable to a viewer that maybe don't even know this piece exists. But the thing is that so for all these virtual effects, usually you have real people. Sometimes you have real elements in the studio, and you have these virtual effects. And the camera tracking is the piece that connects these two worlds together. So in order for a virtual effect to look realistic, it has to be shown from the exact same perspective where the actual camera is shooting from. So as the camera is moving, the virtual effects have to respond in the same way. Otherwise, the illusion would be broken. So this is where we come in, and our systems are currently considered leaders when it comes to precision, and when it comes to how they work under the radar, and the production they just do their job, while we make sure that the position of the camera in each millisecond is very, very precise, the orientation of the camera, as well as the zoom and focus data from the camera. And so we pick up all this information and we send it to rendering engines such as Zero Density, who will then use all these virtual effects and make sure they blend with the real set.
So very interesting. Thank you for that answer. Hasib, over to you. How does XR complement in a newsroom setup?
Okay, well, by integrating these technologies, right, in the newsroom, we can immerse and educate our audience. So in Awani, we run our VR studio on green screen. So we don't use on LED, because usually XR is running on LEDs, right? Because it has a lot of benefits. Visibility, where the host can interact with the screen, and then it has accurate lighting, reflection, shadows, highlights on actor, and also props. And then there is no spills on the host or the props, and it greatly reduces the cost, actually, supposedly, because you don't have to go at the location shooting. Okay, for news, right, people seek to be immersed, so to be active participants of the stories they experience, so they can walk around and explore. This presents a great opportunity for creator, so as well as a challenge for us, for the creator, telling stories in this format in practice. So unlike doing so in more traditional media, one of the key differences is that bringing the human factor in, not straightforward as it is for other type of content. So immersive storytelling has a unique ability to teleport the whole world. So the set extension, okay, the set extension or the extended reality, I call it as a garbage mate. So these terms is used in post-production. A garbage mate is something used to identify regions of an image that should be ignored. Yeah, in the past few years, VR journalism has emerged from its early experimental phase to become a more integrated part of many newsroom, right? So VR and also XR has been compelling both for journalists and for news brands. So XR still has a poor understanding of its audience, both in terms of contents, and attitude of the technology and hardware actually. But we have done our virtual reality virtual set for election on I think around 2018. So at that time, yeah, we use green screen and we extend. So we actually bring in the Parliament building in our small studio. Right.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the answer. Really, really good. Coming back to Faraz. Yeah. Is the reality gear that you mentioned earlier the one thing that enables us to get final and believable pixels on screen? You know, just continuing from what you were highlighting earlier.
Yeah. Thank you, Luis, for this question, because no, it's not. Reality gear is just a part of the system, right? And the real thing behind the whole process is the reality engine, which is compositing and rendering everything, right? So it's a one-box solution for video I/O compositing and rendering. And the good thing about the reality engine that it supports the node-based compositing workflow. So when I say node-based compositing workflow, it is just like the offline high-end compositors like Nuke, right? Like Fusion, right?
Sure.
So that enables you another layer of control over the composited elements, right? Whether they are with the gear, like green screen compositing, or whether they are AR elements or set extensions. So node-based compositing mechanism is a standard for high-end production. And when you enable that standard into the broadcast, it gives another level of control to the audience. And there are so many benefits of the node-based compositing on top of the conventional layer-based compositing, right? So another thing that enables the hyper-realistic result is 3D compositing, or you can say that compositing in 3D space, right? And when I say compositing in 3D space is something like, it's not a layer-based compositing. It's the compositing that we are doing in the virtual environment, and we put your talent inside the virtual environment. So it is the part of the virtual environment. And he is getting all the post-process effects, all the blooms and lens flares on top of it, but at the same time, you would be able to bypass them all. So it's the choice of the user, right?
Right.
So the workflow that node-based compositing environment or reality engine provides you take your virtual production to another level. No matter it is a set extension, LED production, or the green screen compositing, whatsoever it is. Yeah, in a nutshell, very shortly.
So what again? What you're trying to tell me is, irrespective whether it's green screen or LED, it is achievable the same manner.
Sorry, you are talking with me?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah. You
no.
highlighted green screen earlier.
Oh, yes.
If it's LED, would the effect be similar or something?
Yes. Look, the thing is that if you have the node-based compositor or a good compositor or a rendering engine, no matter you are using it with the LED screen, or office screen off-axis tracking, with off-axis tracking that nowadays we call it XR, but I don't agree with it that XR is only LED, right? XR is everything. This is what I am. I learned 25 years ago when I was not even in the industry, right?
Yes.
So we support every XR solution, no matter it is LED, it is AR, it is virtual screen, virtual sets compositing, or it is the set extension. And we are doing, Luis, one thing that I want to mention here, the off-axis tracking we were doing it before, before this virtual production came, 6 years ago, and we call it the portal window at that time.
Interesting.
And that we were tracking the LED wall with the and make it a SAT extension, and would be able to extract 3D object from it. This is what we were doing in 2015, 2016.
Wow.
So yes, of course, any kind of XR workflow we support.
Fantastic. Thanks for the answer. Ola, over to you. Looking at the fact that cameras these days are 4K, 4K, 8K, and even growing into various different RAW formats. Yeah. How do you ensure that supported cameras formats are future-proofed, both for capture and distribution?
Yeah. So thank you, Lewis. It's like you said, with the introduction of such formats as Sony's XOCN and a wide range of the RAW formats, some of which you've mentioned, Canon, Blackmagic, Red, and ARRI. There's lots of choices for studios to use.
Yeah.
And if we look at, for instance, the Sony camera phone, it offers faster data transfer. The files are smaller. It doesn't compromise on all important picture quality. There's more tonal control, increased capture of ISO, sensitivity, camera temperature, and so on. So you can understand why broadcasters want to use these formats when cameras capable of capturing in these formats. So so where the struggle is that most MAMs are struggling with these formats, not being able to import them or natively process or transcode them. So what we have with Cubix is a system which integrates directly with the vendor's drivers and the tools for the camera, ensuring native support regardless of the workflow. To give an example of how this works, if you can imagine, Cubix is a system that works on 3 different layers. We have asset management, that, like we've discussed, which is designed to be agnostic with whatever codec is given. We have automation and we have orchestration. So the orchestration is the aspect of Cubix which involves highly configurable workflow engines. But focusing on how we support and process different new formats, keeping it future-proof. This is where the automation comes in. With the Cubix automation layer, it gives direct interaction through API integration,
Right.
which takes place on over 60 different devices, major capture devices, transcodes, AQC and storage, LTO, facility management, and so on. This is what makes Cubix truly a hybrid platform and so scalable. So using what we call our harness concept, which is simply work applications, we can integrate with almost any device. So a harness can be deployed in the same environment as the devices would be captured on. So we can easily provide support for GoPro, drone footage, other cameras that contain a lot of metadata, GPS info, lens settings, exposure, and so on, much of which can be very useful when searching for rushes, archive footage to help identify the right shot. Cubix is highly configurable metadata schema, which we offer as well. And that's both frame-based and accurate as well. So we're able to add new camera formats into archive. And as Cubix is used by many post-production facilities in Soho, London, we are constantly being put to the test with these formats being a bit like the example that I gave you earlier about cameramen consistently trying out new codecs or whatever in post-production facilities. So our system allows us to be adaptable to this. And with modern broadcast formats, XR content, we're talking about the processing of a lot of information, video input, range of brightness, wide dynamic range of colors, due to HDR, high dynamic range, frequently being used. And with XR, we're talking about immersive formats in 316, 180, FOV formats. Yeah, so what we're aware that a great deal of accuracy is required when capturing and distributing this material, which is why it's so important that Cubix can provide native support regardless of the workflows.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Back in the days when I used to deal with some of the MAM systems, this was not feasible in
Yes.
the workflow at all. And it is like music to the ears, especially people with big data. With media big data, handling and trying to move from from the camera to the SSDs or whatever, and things like that, and how they archive this and meta tag it, and at Cubix, I think it's a fantastic solution. Us alike and things like that. Well, while we're on the topic of files and cameras and LED screen, Ivan, over to you. Talking about LED XR stages, are getting more and more popular. Can you explain how you can manage to track the camera in a completely closed LED cave with no place to install any markers? How do you do it?
Yeah, obviously this is a very relevant question to XR. Like Faraz said, XR nowadays is oftentimes used very precisely for LEDs, LED caves and LED screen production. But in a broader sense, we can use it for pretty much all virtual effects. So I'll go backtrack a little bit to the past. Like oftentimes virtual productions just use augmented reality effects in normal studios, in normal sets. Sometimes they're outdoors. So then various tracking systems can do their job well. Some tracking systems rely on detecting natural features of the environment, which can work well if you're outdoors, if you're in a realistic set. Our most popular system is called RedSpy. It uses reflective markers that you place on a ceiling or on a floor. But once we come into the LED sets, where you have LED screens or full LED caves, which are LED ceilings on all LED screens on all sides, the tracking systems that rely on natural features will not work simply. And our RedSpy system will work, but originally we had to block some of the LED pixels, for example, on the ceilings, and the clients didn't like that. So we had to figure out a way how to make our system work without blocking the LED pixels. So we came up with pierced markers technology. I'll show one short, I'll just show a picture.
Sure.
So this is our one pierced marker. So you simply put it on top on the LED screen. It doesn't block the light that's coming out from the LED.
Does that speak on a pixel? Is that goes immediately to pixel?
Yeah.
Yeah. On the LED bulb, on the LED bulb, is it?
Yeah, we can make them on different pitch size to fit pretty much any LED screen. Oftentimes the smallest ones are enough. If we need bigger ones, we simply combine, let's say, 4 of the markers like this. And again, we have all that we need for our RedSpy system to work properly. So, like I said, the system works by placing some markers on the ceiling, and then we have a small cylinder. This is the RedSpy camera. It's like a cylinder size of a Coca-Cola can that mounts on a studio camera, emits infrared light. This light gets reflected from these pierced markers, which are on your XR screen, and the RedSpy camera picks up again this signal, also combines it with gyroscope and accelerometer, and then gives this camera position that I spoke about earlier. So exact position of the camera in the studio, orientation, zoom and focus data, which we then send to the rendering engine. And we work with pretty much all rendering engines in the industry, everybody who supports industry standards like 3D protocol. In this case, we have Faraz from Zero Density. So then they take over this camera tracking data and do their magic with virtual effects or putting stuff on the LED screens.
So is this anything like a safe distance between the camera and also the LED screen? Is there any safe distance before you find there's a wash or some sort of you start to see pixelization and stuff like that? Is there such thing?
The pixelization is more, yeah, this is not pretty much our problem. Our goal is just to get the exact camera position in the studio. When it comes to pixelization, yeah, this is usually something that other departments worry about, how close they can get to the LED screens before they notice pixelizations.
Okay, so that's not your area. It moves on to the software part, yeah?
Yeah, this is about, usually other departments worry about that. What kind of shots they want to use, how close they need the camera to come to the LED screen, and then decide what kind of pitch size they need.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Ivan. Hasib, over to you. Based on your experience and what you have seen, do you think that broadcasters should consider working in a green screen setup or move to LED? And can you elaborate which concept newsroom is more practical to you?
Well, LEDs, this new virtual production method by using LED walls, right, as a backdrop. In Malaysia are still comparatively new, but in worldwide is quite long time already. But there are many great benefits that may mean traditional green screen become a thing of the past. Who knows? Of course, yeah, I don't know. Of course, but as this is a new technology, there are also some shortcoming and pitfall, right? So, but some of the benefit when you are using LED walls is like you can capture the VFX in camera, meaning that director can see the full picture through the lens because you can see it straightforward. So that is live on set, and he can work with the technical team to make a real-time adjustment upon the shooting. So they will no more call post-production, they call pre-visualization, right? And another is a realistic reflection where you can receive on the LED itself. So it accurately capture on set, so reflecting the world around the actor on the LED props, on the LED. So it fall on the actor and also the props on set. And then another pros is realistic ambient lighting, so that it can capture the outdoor lighting in the real world. Then, of course, immerses on the set experience to the person on set, right? So they create a seamless blend of physical set with pre-shot or VFX environment. But then there are cons of LEDs. So it's quite expensive, as I know, it's quite expensive to deal with, to maintain it. And the range of LEDs, pixel and processor, if it below 2 pp is quite expensive. That's what I know. For entertainment, yes, I think they should move forward with LEDs. But for me, news, I personally think that we are okay with green screen, but the most important thing that I need to have is to find a solution of VR solution that has the best in class of chroma key, like what Faraz said just now. So this means that those chroma key will be able to achieve or to keep a contact shadow. It will be able to key a mineral bottle, a glass. So that one is very hard to be achieved even if you use external key.
Interesting.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. Yeah. So Faraz, Hasib is talking about keyers and the ability to even key out clean even LED screens or even green screens, and having real-time image-based keyer and node-based compositing workflow, I'm sure it's a great advantage. But how your solution is dealing with how is your solution dealing with a newsroom workflow and broadcast graphics operations? Can you elaborate a little bit of that? And also, can you also talk a little bit about the Moss and Octopus newsroom options as well that you have here? Over to you.
Yeah, well, Luis, so there are two questions. One is related with the Moss integration, and one is related with the broadcast operations.
Yeah.
So whenever I got a chance to discuss or to, during the training session, I always say that there are three kinds of real-time graphics, and you can divide it into three categories. A, data-driven graphics, the graphics that populate itself by getting third-party data from any resource, REST API, weather data, business data, stock exchange, whatever. Operator-driven graphics. Operator-driven graphics is that something, operator can put the data inside and, hit play and it pop up with the data that operator provides it. And the third one is the journalist-driven graphics, which runs with the help of Moss or any kind of NRCS and all that stuff. So when it comes to the graphics-driven behavior, graphics driving behavior, I would like to talk about the Reality Hub, right? So Reality Hub is a HTML5 based control application. So Reality Engine, Reality Keyer, Reality Editor, and Reality Hub. So Reality Hub is helping us to connect the whole reality ecosystem. Right. It connect editor, it connect, it can control the engines, it can, it also provide you to an environment to work with the node-based compositor, Reality Keyer, and all that stuff. On top of it, one thing that I would like to mention here that it's not a monolithic application. And when I say monolithic application, it means that, a huge application which has, everything collateral and, fighting with each other, so many things, menus and all that stuff. Our approach is the modular approach. So we divide each department, or you can say that each task into separate module, just like Chrome tab, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how many you have, it's up to you. The second thing is that we design a control application Reality Hub in such a way that we keep it open-ended, right? We believe that every broadcaster has its own workflow, right? Its own, maybe someone is running it, their own application, in-house application, and he wants to integrate it with our control application. He can do this. So we provide the development, two different development environments as well, right? The REST API and the SDK. So you can create your own custom module, and those custom modules become the part of the Reality Hub. And not only that, but also Reality Hub has one and other great feature, because we believe that the editorial and journalist staff are the first responder to the news, right? They got the news, they know the assets, they know the real data, So we integrate another module which is known as the newsroom module, and it integrates with the Moss, integrated with any kind of Moss-based NRCS. We have a partnership with with Octopus, and we are working with them, and so we tested it and we integrated, and it's working absolutely fine with this. Not only with this, but also with Delete, or when you're talking about Moss, every NRCS that support Moss,
yes,
we support it, right? And not only the NRCS, if you're talking about the studio or talking about the automation, graphic automation. Right. So every graphic automation application that support Moss, we can easily integrate it with Reality Hub. So definitely this is very important to have the newsroom workflow inside the control application, because the fast-paced environment of the news doesn't allow you to put the data every time. So if you are getting it from the editorial directly, editorial staff would be able to populate the information inside your graphics, and your operator just need to trigger the graphics. That's it. So it helps a lot. It helps a lot to the broadcasters, yes, and we definitely support it.
Wow, that's really fantastic. I mean, I'm surprised that you guys could actually handle that and do something like that. It's really amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, Ola, I mean, taking from where Faraz left off, yeah, I mean, where Moss handling NCRS, can you give us some in-depth of how the Cubix, the MAM system, actually handles that part from their system over to you in terms of an actual workflow for the generalist part of the
Oh yeah, so
workflow?
a bit like what Faraz said, where it's a bit like two separate questions. We're speaking about the broadcast workflow, and we're talking about integration with Moss. I'll journey onto that. So XR Studios can be set up in a wide range of spaces, but often the editors and contributors working on the content, being part of the XR project or the broadcast, are not local, especially because of what happened with COVID and the pandemic, which is why XR production has flourished during the pandemic and is growing, because because these workflows have allowed for it. So working remote is vital that content needs to be reviewed, QC'd, and transferred to the studio, generally within very tight timescales. So Cubix allows for the review and approval process to be built, deployed in moments, working in a true hybrid fashion, whether between on-prem and cloud storage. Proxies are generated for review. Users can collaborate together in real time, leaving frame-based comments and feedback, and passing or rejecting comments. Using our file accelerator, we can ensure maximum throughput point to point from wherever the content is located, direct into the studio. Our own UDP-based file acceleration technology called Cubix UDT is one of the solutions for this. We also support various QC tools, and our automation layer is a node-based architecture, which is by design simply responds to requests by the orchestration layer. Again, it enhances the scalability and the efficiency of Cubix. In terms of integration with Moss, I think if we give a brief understanding about Moss and connectivity, especially when we're talking about Moss, we're talking about a protocol, which means exchanging packages between with the new systems, such as metadata, scripts, and media.
Yeah.
So with Octopus and ENPS, it's for a newsroom environment. So Moss is essentially used as a means of delivering types of packages between newsroom systems, and being able to support XR content, which Cubix can do due to its design, makes it ideal for handling that content. So news production systems like ENPS can seamlessly integrate with digital and social media platforms via API and Moss partners like ourselves. So the Cubix relationship with Moss helps to streamline newsroom workflows, allowing multimedia content to be efficiently reached to the ENPS platform and easily searchable, and the metadata to be gathered and analyzed. Right now, we have integration with ENPS, and we are in talks with Octopus. Working with I've personally seen how I mean, I've been working remotely throughout, helping to support and build these review and approval workflows, and I've been very impressed with the efficiency and the flexibility that Cubix offers our clients and contributors during the SAQC and approvals workflow. Integration with Moss just enhances all of that.
Well, I'd love to see that. It'd be really, I mean, this is news to to probably a lot of news TV stations, news TV station, to know, the integration between zero density and what you can do as well. And that's really interesting. So at a point where many contributors are working remotely, and with such a broad range of media formats out there, how real-time secure tracking of media asset QC approval from contributors across the world can be assured? Ola, still with you.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I kind of answered that.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just giving you a whole bunch of.
No, that's fine. It's like I mentioned before, especially because of what happened with the pandemic.
Yes.
What we offer with our Cubix platform is the ability for contributors to work remotely. Like I said, we're a global organization, so we have clients all over the world, and they are using our review and approval platforms to transfer media, watch the proxies that have been generated, collaborate, give feedback. And the orchestration level is the orchestration part of it is so efficient in terms of what in building what we call task flows that are very easily and highly, like I said before, configurable. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. I didn't realize you already didn't answer a fair bit of that already. Thank you very much.
That's fine.
Yeah. Ivan, over to you. Virtual production is rapidly evolving in everyday broadcasting and movie production. And wherever you go, you hear people needing a tracking system. Tell us more about how your tracking technology helps in various broadcast solutions.
Thank you, Luis. Yeah, like you said, our name has become a household name when it comes to camera tracking. Oftentimes it's the first name that comes to people's mind where they want camera tracking to be solved. Yeah, we've done a lot of successful projects in Asia, where we actually first found our market 10 years ago, expanded to US and Europe. So I would say the reason we got so popular is that our systems, especially the RedSpy system, which uses infrared light and the markers that I explained earlier, are so robust and precise. Sometimes we joke that with the RedSpy, it's harder to make it not work than it is to make it work, because it was very well designed conceptually and realized and perfected for the last 5 years. So now it has become really reliable system. Like I said, it's the size of a Coca-Cola can, so it's very low footprint on the actual camera. It can connect using a fiber cable to the main engine, or it can be used wirelessly, which is used, for example, in Steadicams or handheld cameras. And it supports all engines in industry, rendering engines that support industry standard 3D protocol. We also support lens calibration internally on our side, which used to be a huge problem for productions. Very few people knew how to calibrate the lens. Usually it was done on the rendering engine side, and sometimes we would come to a venue and people who were in charge of the rendering engine didn't know how to calibrate the lens. So we learned how to do it, and we implemented this as part of our system. So now we completely solved this part. So yeah, if you want camera tracking to work, you just call Stipe. Which is we also got famous for our we also got famous for our support team. We really try our best that all inquiries, all problems are solved as soon as possible. So
okay,
yeah,
very interesting. Thank you for that, Ivan. Really, Asif, you have heard from all the other panelists about about the newsroom solutions, and how would you see a newsroom workflow maintaining the efficiency and accuracy of information sent from the technologies we just spoke about? How would TV channel manage that?
Okay, so basically, Astro Awani is a Malaysia go-to channel for breaking news. It's only available on Astro channel 51 locally in Malaysia, online at astroonly.com, and we are also on mobile app, and it's spread across platforms including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Telegrams. Right. Other mediums include newsletter, our podcast, and LinkedIn. So Astro Only is accessible anytime and anywhere around the world. We have gotten a most trusted news recognition for the 4 year in a row by Reuters Institute, starting from 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. One is number one in most followed category of Malaysian news on social media. So with all of this success we have achieved so far, there is no room to make a mistakes, right? So real-time data integration is totally crucial in newsroom. It needs to have end-to-end broadcast TV graphic workflow, enable quick on-air delivery on content. So it must be able to create powerful template graphics, integrate with newsroom computer system, edit graphic on the go, spin engaging stories with virtual set or AR graphics, and interactive multi-touch presentation. So it needs to be agile and the workflow to be delivered template news graphic quickly. So no matter what the circumstance is, because we are the number one breaking news in Malaysia. Okay, so there are a lot of people involved in making our new success. The function is smooth. So along with the design team who are hands-on and collaborative, the production team also are very involved in this workaround. So we work with Generalist to achieve the right storytelling method, the director in the PCR to orchestrate the overall rundown, and even the camera and lighting crew within the studio is playing a part. So everyone is contributing to the success of the newsroom, right? Sometimes my design team also created daily experience video. So this will be done manually and not automated. So this requires a high skill in motion graphics, first one, and like videos, the use of animation in news has been on the rise in recent years. So people will stop scrolling when they see an interesting animation when you're browsing, and they are more likely to remember the information they learn from what they are viewed. So adding information to a traditional website or video has proven extremely effective way to educate or to for the info. Negligence sometimes happen when the designer lose their attention. So we practice manual gatekeeping for this type of task.
Right.
All right.
Okay, that's interesting, and thank you for that answer, Hasib. So, audience, just to let you know that we have not forgotten that you're here. Please do put in the chat group your comments, your questions, what you think you'd like to ask as well, because we have a couple of rounds more to go, and we probably take about another half an hour to complete this. So please do send your questions, start bringing them in, and we can actually address them at the end of this panel discussion. Faraz, let's talk about workforce. Where development and training is concerned, what scope would we expect from vendors, and how they help community to prepare themselves to adopt the future advancements?
Yes, Luis, very good question, because this is something that is my, the only, personally, I'm not talking about on behalf of my company, but personally on my side, my biggest fear, the human resource, right? Because that at the pace that we are evolving right now in terms of the virtual production and XR solutions, we need more and more people. So what our contribution, if I'm talking about the behalf of zero density, last year we democratized the whole solution for community, right? So we set it free for everyone. This is what we did, and we receive a mega grant from Epic Games as well on that, because we are not receiving from the community, but at the same time we are giving it back, right? Also, we worked in parallel with several universities, right? And we are offering them, very, competitive packages, the bundle packages. So they can have the solution, they can learn the solution, and they can make the new workforce, the future workforce for us, right? So there are several ways that zero density is doing, and very soon we are also launching a very unique learning platform from zero density. So there are various ways that we are dealing with, and not only for us, but we are serving the community. This is the purpose, right? So we want the people to learn the new technology. We want the people to learn the gaming engine that is made for the gaming, but we are using it for the broadcast and live event and all that stuff. So yes, of course, we set it free. And if someone can share the link that I shared with you, so people can download it free, right? There is also a Facebook community that is moderated by industry veterans and the power reality users, and it called the Reality Indian User Group. People can join that group as well, right? And we have a separate section for our tutorial on YouTube page, so people can learn from there. And on top of everything, Unreal has its own resources, remarkable resources, So learn.unreal.com is the portal where everyone can go and fetch a learning path for himself and start learning, right? So this is something that we all, not only the panelists in this session, but we all are doing for the community. So we need to take care of these things. We need more democratization. We need more things to set free for the people to use. We need more learning paths, more ways to learn new things. And these are the things, yes, of course.
Amazing. Yeah, it's really a lack in industry right now in terms of this area, and we're realizing for a fact that the newcomers, are really still green, especially this part of Asia, and I know a lot of expertise are out there in your area, and we need a lot of this kind of people over here to really boost up the industry. Yeah, that well said. Thank you, Faraz. Over to you, Ola. XR truly allows a greater number of producers, often conscious about their budget, to create live content for a variety of use cases. But syndication and distribution of such content remains a challenge. How can orchestration, which is from Otana, help to resolve this?
Yeah, thank you, Lewis. So it's like you said, XR use cases are often for getting out content in dynamic form very quickly and to a range of different audiences. So if you think of live broadcast, sports, concerts, newsrooms, some of which we mentioned earlier when you asked about what we thought about the growing trend of XR, sorry. So this content that we're talking about is developed for audiences that expect to consume them in a very short space of time and readily. So this means that you need a media orchestration solution that can package, distribute content quickly to lots of different platforms in moments. So distribution workflows in Cubix allow for fully automated transcode packaging and delivery to online video and social media platforms like YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, Twitter, and more. VOD platforms, syndication feeds, corporate websites, and more. Through orchestration, we can create what we call task flows, which, as I explained earlier, are highly configurable workflow engines, which can be designed to meet our clients' distribution needs. So we also have what you call media rules, which in our system are short process chains. Basically, if this, then do that. So this is mainly used for storage management, archiving, proxy gen, and so on. But what it does is it gives Cubix the awareness of what should normally happen. Then you don't have to design duplicative workflows. So for example, using our orchestration logic, seconds after an XR recording is finished, Cubix will process it to as many different platforms as you wish to configure in parallel, making use for both on-prem and cloud resources. And we also have our own global transcode in the cloud with our kiosk platform.
Okay. Who do you use for the cloud-based solution? Is it AWS or?
It's Blackplace, so B2. We have close partnerships with B2, Wasabi, and Object Matrix, as well as more.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification. Thank you. Ivan, over to you. In looking at workspace again, workforce and time. How long does it take for initial setup? For your tracking system to take to get up and running and for recalibration after that.
Okay, thank you, Luis. So, like I would say, 90% of our jobs require 2 days to do. We would send one of our engineers. Sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's one of our about 20, 25 other people that can do this. 1 day is usually enough for the calibration of everything, and we always have an extra day in case there's some fine-tuning needed, and to also train the people who are in the studio so they can do their job without needing to call us. When it comes to recalibration, all of our systems are made in mind that once they are calibrated, you don't need to do anything else. For example, the Red Spy, which is our most popular system, has achieved this level where you simply have to make sure it has power and you turn it on, and it will do its tracking. So unless you bump the camera into a wall and something falls off, or you want to change something in your setup, you want a different camera, you want a different lens, then we would have to react. But if you do your job with the equipment that was there, once we set it up, you don't need to do anything else.
So you have various presets which you can click on and for different environment, different production, so to speak, or does it have to be set every time you have a different production?
So for the Red Spy, you can make different profiles. For example, if you have multiple studios, we can calibrate each of them. If you have multiple studios, we would probably need 1 day for each of them. And then you simply load the profile. If you move the camera to another studio, you would load a different profile, and it will load the map, the markers which are on the ceiling. It will load this map of markers, and it will immediately know exactly where it is, and again, to send the data about camera position in the studio to the rendering engine.
Okay. So if you have a new newsroom setup and someone wants to put it up for the first time, yeah, how complicated is it to put the markers on the ceiling? Is it something straightforward that you already know, or it's guided by a laser or something like that to tell you to put it at that spot? How does it work?
Yeah, you detected the pretty important thing. Usually the placing of the markers is what takes most of the time. Sometimes it's very high. Sometimes you have to use a scissor lift or something like that. So we give the clients, if they do it on their own, which is also possible if we guide them remotely, we give them instructions generally how many markers they will need. We will calculate what size of markers they will need to use, and we will give them some simple instructions how to place them. The markers need to be placed like semi-randomly. Right. Just some guidelines. We will give them a range. Place them something like this is the minimum distance, this is the maximum. So just place them a little bit randomly. within these guidelines.
Okay.
And then once the markers are in place, we go to the next phase, which is mapping them, where the system learns where they are, and we use them as reference to detect where the camera is in space.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Ivan. Hasib, over to you. With Unreal Engine as a complete core creation tools for XR, how does it contribute to your workflow in regards to talents? Also, are the broadcasters ready for this tech?
Oh, okay. So we must be ready, Luis. So
Yeah.
if not, we will lose our eyeball, the eyeball. Okay, Unreal Engine is the enormous impact of Unreal Engine was clear even before the pandemic hit. Yeah, it's quite some times already. While the engine may have been designed for games, it is essentially a high-quality graphic rendering solution, real time. It helps broadcaster blend live action and CGI in a way that makes people talk. Right. So as we all know, Unreal Engine is free. It's totally free, and it's a popular and widely used for a game engine like PUBG, Fortnite, Rocket League, some of it, right? So there are some other games engine out there actually, but the pros of using Unreal Engine is you don't have to know how to program, because it has blueprints, the editor that built in, which is called Blueprint, that instead of you making a code, it uses a visual system of nodes, which you can drag and drop, drag and link. So the different nodes contain the logic for what happens in the game, or what you are going to do, like movement of a player or etc., etc. Unreal Engine also has very powerful material, which is physical-based rendering, physical-based material, PBR, and animation tools for artists, which allow them to make a complex scenes very quick. It's very quick because it's rendering real time.
Yeah.
So setting up a scene of these features can seem daunting at first, but several examples are provided where you can just change the parameter until you create what you are looking for. On top of all these features, there is a huge amount of documentation and videos online, like Faraz said just now, which you can learn right now. And then one final feature is to note there's a lot of asset in the marketplace. It's all free, and some of it comes at a premium price tag, which it is considerable to purchase.
Yeah. You said it correctly. Yes, perfect. Thanks, Asif. Okay, we're coming to one of our final rounds. Let's look at some of the roadmaps and final plans. If I may, Faraz, what is the roadmap of zero density with the release of MPA and other upcoming products and partnerships, program partnerships, etc. Yeah.
Yeah. Luis, basically, Zero Density is not a software development company only, right? We are a research company. So when I say we are a research company, our spectrum is, very broad spectrum. We need to take care of so many things. We are working with so many things, right? To help the pupil make their XR workflow better and easier. So last year we came up with very robust and very intuitive control application. You can say comprehensive control application, Reality Hub. And right after that, on the parallel side, we also work on our own green paint. Yes, the real green.
Fantastic.
So, and we call it real green because this is something that very important, it is not only for the reality care, but always. There are so many external factors that impact your keying, right? And it's light, it's your paint maybe, or it's your camera setting as well, right? So our customers and partners are making most of it, our paint, and it is still less green, and it is tested in our lab that a very particular tone of green that it has for the broadcast specifically, because most of the green paint available in the market are for the film. And in the open space environment, in the outdoor environment. So it never worked well inside, isolated 4-walled studio, or So right after that, we start working on or already launched that platform, the hardware platform, Reality Ampere. And why we do so? Because we are observing a gap between the hardware and software. Most of the hardware platform or hardware vendor don't know anything about, and they don't want to talk about the virtual graphics or all that stuff. And the graphic side don't want to talk about the hardware. So there must be someone in between who know both of them, right? So we tailored a custom solution, a hardware solution in-house, and we are very happy with it because it's a bundled solution with everything installed and battle tested, certified by our support team, one of the support engineer. And it has everything. It is just like a plug and play. You just need to buy it, plug it, and it's ready to go, right? So I want to Adeline to share the link for its spec. And the future, yes, we will going to launch 2 of our new product. And I'm not allowed to talk about them, but when I say product, so it is the product. It's not upgrade. Those will be not upgrades. Those will be not updates, and not extension. Completely new products, right? Okay. And we are also working on our patent XR workflow. And when I say XR this time, I'm referring to LED screens, awesome. Right? So yeah, there are lots of things because it's a technology company, Zero Density, and it's a research oriented company. So we are working on lots of, we are fighting with lots of battles. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks Faraz. Ola, over to you. With both on-premise and cloud storage becoming so cost-effective, how can you achieve your XRAS source assets and studio output, complete with the rich metadata they have, ensuring they are quickly and easily available whilst keeping costs to a minimum?
Yeah. So obviously, of course, after an XR broadcast or an event, there are lots of elements that need to be archived, including all the media used as part of the XR project, but the broadcast itself. So which needs and it needs to be easily be used again, and we need to help them maximize discoverability of the content, which is where metadata is very important and key. I mean, I don't know about the other gentlemen on the panel, but metadata, I've not used one word used more in this industry than metadata. It's right, yeah. It's essential, yeah. So we are trying to not only persist all the technical metadata for the sources, but also allow for rich editorial metadata to be added. So you have an AI, ML, machine learning engines that can also be used to perform speech-to-text, object detection, and more to automatically enhance and augment this metadata. Then comes in the challenge of finding the right tier of cloud storage, given the range that are now available. So as I spoke to you, you asked me earlier, and we have close partnerships with Backblaze, B2, Wasabi, Object Matrix, and more, as well as supporting all the other major cloud storage providers. So you can easily archive and automatically tier your content according to fully configurable media rules. Cubix creates all proxies of all content, meaning it can be securely reviewed without restoring the high resolution assets. And Cubix also supports partial file restore, allowing clients to only restore from archive high-res of parts of content that they need instead of restoring all the content. So all of this just ensures that the lowest cost possible for storage while ensuring maximum availability.
Interesting. You mentioned about metadata earlier, and I was just curious. Are you able to also track physical assets? With tagging or putting meta taggings as well for film production, and if you're looking for a shirt of a kind that's somebody wore 50 years ago, that's possible.
Exactly as you mentioned as well. With that concept of tagging, we can yes, apply metadata to physical assets.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for that, Ola. All right, Ivan, over to you. Can you explain to us the use of precision tracking, which you mentioned earlier, in situations of where the camera, where it involves camera and object tracking, whether it's a steady cam or on cranes, especially when there is a telescopic crane and it's moving really fast, and how is it maintaining the data, the precision data, all this? Can you just give us a little bit more details about how that works?
Okay, yeah. So there are basically two mini topics in that. One is these telescopic cranes. So we have multiple ways to track a crane. One is the mechanical tracking, which doesn't need any markers. In that case, telescopic crane is tracked by tracking all the joints of a crane. So one joint will be tracking the tilt of the arm, one will be tracking the tilt of the camera, pan of the camera, and of course one will have to track the extension of the actual arm, which we do with a string encoder. Also, the crane can also be tracked using the red spy, which again simply means mounting one sensor the size of a Coca-Cola can, which with markers on the ceiling or on the floor. So usually red spy is our go-to solution because it's so simple. But sometimes if you are working outdoors, for example, on football fields or somewhere where you cannot place the markers, then we go for the mechanical approach, which also gives great results. But the one downside compared to red spy is that it has it has more points where something can go wrong. If somebody messes something with the crane, you have to figure out where they messed it up on these multiple positions to track. And you also mentioned the object tracking. So this is another topic. So far, we've been talking about camera tracking. Object tracking comes into play if you want to track a presenter, for example, like BBC used in their elections or referendum. I think it was for Brexit. They tracked their presenter, and the graphics was tied to a presenter. So as she was walking around, the graphics was following her. In this way, in situations like this, we work closely with people from rendering engine, for example, like Zero Density or others who can support object tracking. So we track this using mini infrared LED beacons and different witness cameras, which are spread around the studio. So as this infrared beacon moves around, in this case, it was attached to a presenter. It can work under the shirt. It's invisible.
Okay.
But the infrared light is visible to the witness cameras, and then we simply attach a graphic to a presenter.
Okay. So that's another product, yeah. Besides the spy.
This is a follower system.
The follower, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. So the roles are a little bit inversed. Red spy uses infrared camera with markers, but follower uses these small infrared beacons, while the witness cameras are placed around the studio. The follower can also track a camera. In this case, we mount what we call a spider module onto the camera. The spider module consists of multiple infrared beacons, which are shaped like a spider, and they are detected by witness camera. So one advantage of the follower is that you can track a camera and people and objects with the same system. So
Very interesting technology.
Yeah, it's a little bit more potent. It has more capabilities, but usually it's a little more expensive.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for that, Ivan. Hasib, coming to you. What remains a challenge in news when working in a virtual environment, and what you think can resolve it?
Well, I guess there's two or two challenges. First, to setting up the tracker. Because last time I had experience with my team when we are setting up our camera tracker, it took around 7 days. So I'm not sure what happened. Yeah, but just now Ivan said he can make that in 1 day, and another day for enhance, right? So I'm not sure where is the what wrong with that. Maybe there's some calculation is wrongly calculated, or I'm not sure. But that's one of the challenges, and another challenges that always happen to us is when editorial asks us to create a 3D scene which is not in any place. So meaning that something like historical interior. So there's no asset on that. So my 3D team or my 3D artist has to model it from scratch, but then he needs some reference. So I will need to ask my team to go to the place and shoot some photograph for a reference. So mainly that's just two challenges that we encounter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure once things settle down, this would be something that you can rectify, in the future with Unreal Engine kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, thank you for that, Hasib. Okay, so we've come to our final round, dear audience. If you're still ready for getting ready for your last quiz, for your questions, please start putting them up in the chat group, so that we can actually save some time waiting for questions come in. So for the final round, let me come back to Faraz. As a senior technical artist, what advice would you give aspiring XR artists in the area of Unreal Engine and working with a world-class rendering system? Your mic is muted, I think.
Oh yes. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, well, the thing is that once you think that you learned everything, you're at it, right? So constantly learning is the one thing that I suggest to the new, XR students. And the second thing is that there are abundant of resources available. So they can start from one to another, right? Very easily without wasting any time. And there are lots of, and Unreal Engine is free. So this is a great platform. And also, I already said that we democratize our solution as well for non-commercial use, right? So people can download it and learn. Because why I'm saying that? Why? Yes, Unreal is fine, but node-based compositing is a thing at itself, right? I work with various real-time solutions, and I stuck with that one not only because I'm working with zero density, but because of its diversified, implementation with various XR solutions. And it is the main thing, the key thing is it's a very unique thing, when you are working with the offline high-end compositors, you are following the same pipeline inside the reality engine. And the node-based compositing tool helps you to create any kind of workflow. And not only that, you are not limited to the system nodes that we are providing you. You can create or build with the help of Blueprint, you can build your own nodes. It means that if you have your own workflow in your mind, and you want to create it or implement it. So the system never limits you there, right? You can create your own custom workflow. So like gaming engine is a whole study, right?
Right.
You start learning Unreal, you start learning Blueprint, you start learning material, texture, lighting, exactly like this. Node-based compositing is a whole learning path. And more and more time that I'm spending in this field, I see that more and more real-time product adopting
Yes.
the same mechanism instead of the Photoshop layer-based, mechanism. They are more into the nodes now.
Correct.
So this is what I really, really, really suggest to the new XR students, that please check it out and start learning it today, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. That's really good. I mean, I know that Ola just mentioned that his system is also node-based now, so that's really interesting. Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for us. So Ola, tell us about how do we go about? I mean, if we want to try out your system, is there somewhere we can download and is it accessible?
Yeah, you can go on our website.
Okay.
Of the details with them, we'll share.
Yeah, we have it in the chat group, right?
Yeah,
the links are
you
there
can also.
already. Yeah.
So on the website, you can request a demo. You can also find links to our fully documented and published RESTful API. It has a bunch of information about how our system works. I've also shared with you some videos on YouTube as well.
Okay, that's nice. That's pretty good. Yeah. And coming back to Faraz again, you also have a community version that's downloadable free of charge, right?
Yeah. I already shared a
Okay.
link
Okay.
with Adeline, and I hope that she shared with the
Yeah.
audience. So you can download it. You can make most of all the features that we have in the license version, except one thing, that you have a watermark, and even that watermark can be removed for 5 minutes. So students or freelancer can make the proof of concept to show someone. They can make their showreels, and 5 minutes are more than enough.
Yeah.
And the trick is that once you restart your engine, you will get another 5 minutes.
Okay, thanks for the tip.
So yeah.
Okay. Ivan, yes. We noticed the Skype camera is being used a lot in also the profile events in Asia and esports tournaments, League of Legends, and also the BTS tours. If a client in Malaysia wants to see your Skype system in action, how do we go about arranging it?
Yeah, so they can reach out to us via email at hi@skype.tv, and we can arrange a demo. We can ship a unit to them, and we can help them set the system up remotely with one of our engineers who will guide them through the process, and then they can test it, play around with it, and see how they like it, and if they're ready to jump into the pool of virtual production.
Okay.
Which I think everybody.
Yeah. Could you type that link again on the chat group?
I can type it in chat.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah, great. Okay. Last but not least, what is the Hasib? Over to you again. Yeah. What is the next virtual solution that you think will grow rapidly? Just to wrap up for the day.
Okay, but before I answer you, I would like to enlighten Ivan that we are not using Skype for our camera tracker. So we use the other solution, which has taken us at least 7 days to calibrate. So I'm not sure why. Right. So, okay, to answer you, Luis, I think the next big thing will be a motion capture or mocap. Mocap, for those who don't know, is a process of digitally record a movement of people. So when you wear a suit of a tracker, a famous example of a movie like Avatar. So they use motion capture. Current trending, which is the alter ego. That one has changed the music industry. They use motion capture and also face live link from Unreal Engine module. I've read somewhere the behind the scene. They use a real stage with a real lighting and mixing. So it's not AR, it's not 3D. The 3D is just the avatar. And then they put, okay, those judge is sitting on eye level with a large screen of LED. So that's why you can see those 3D avatar perform live on stage. I mean, not live, but you can see that character dance on stage and sing on stage. But I haven't find any visual or a video behind the scene. So, but then, yeah, I think motion cap will be next virtual solution that will boom in the industry.
Very interesting insight. Well, it has. Well, any questions from the floor, the audience? Do you all have any questions for the panel? We are open for Q&A right now. We're coming up to 2 hours, another 15 minutes to go. We are gliding with good speed. Thank you very much, everyone. No questions so far? Nobody? So, okay, so with that, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you very much to, Hasib, you, Ola, Ivan, Faraz. Thank you for being here with me and especially, moderating the session with all of you. And it has been a very interesting session. I've never heard something like this before in a nutshell completely. A lot of substance, and I'm sure a lot of broadcasters will learn out of this once we get going with our Facebook and start pushing this information out there to a lot more people to watch later on. I think so. So again, thank you very much from Broadcast Elements. We really appreciate every effort that you put into this event, and we look forward to seeing you all in workshops during the XRAS Summit in November. So we will update everybody about the summit, whether it's going to be hybrid or solely virtual based on the SOP that's being implemented in Malaysia right now. So with that, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. And
thank you,
have a good evening.
Thank you, Louis.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you.